Well, hello again, Highlander Camp. For today's video, we want to tell you a little bit more about our church.
The short version of the story is that we meet as what many would call a house church or a home church, and we gather in what is known as houses of peace.
We call our church Celebration of Hope. And as we mentioned before, we meet twice a week in a rotation between 3 homes in 2 local neighborhoods or villas. Our home is not one of the locations because it is so small. But we also remember that when Jesus sent out the 72 in Luke chapter 10, he sent them to the houses of others. In fact, this is where we get the term houses of peace. Read the chapter for yourself and you will see what we mean.
So maybe the idea of home church is a little foreign to you. It certainly doesn't look like the churches many of us are used to, and you may be tempted to think of it as more of what might be called a small group. But don't be fooled. Home churches are complete churches and have all the characteristics of the early church, as we read about in Acts chapter 2, verses 36 to 47. Many of you may be familiar with the home church movement. Perhaps you have heard of Bruce Bennett and the community church planting model. Or maybe you know that Free Methodist World Missions has been using this type of church planting with great success in many areas of the world.
What you may not have known is that the Free Methodist Church in Latin America, or Iglesia Metodista Libre, or IML, has its own unique brand of community church planting, known as Plantación de Iglesias Comunitarias, or PEAC. This is a contextualized version of the church planting process that is seeing many new disciples come to a saving faith in Jesus Christ all over Latin America. PEAC is the model we are using with our church, and it seems like a case of the right thing at the right time. Home church is providing the perfect setting for many to return to an active faith life or begin a new, first-time walk with Jesus.
You see, when the pandemic began, the classic church model of meeting together in the church building, or templo as it is known here, was basically shut down out of health concerns. And even as the concerns of COVID have eased somewhat, government restrictions and personal fears have made it difficult for many to return to or enter the traditional church setting. And so, here we are with home church, providing a more available and agreeable setting to gather in faith and encounter Jesus. This type of church eliminates the need to pre-register for services to be sure of a seat, and also helps allay the fears of being in a large group of people. But along with this, we see a second blessing. Our church family regularly testifies to the added communion and intimacy they find in our smaller, more casual gatherings. We consistently hear how they love the interactive setting and the chance at greater community and knowing their pastors personally.
We can tell you so much more, but we think the best thing is to hear it from one of our church members himself.
Hola, mi nombre es Roberto Canto, esposo de Francia. Bueno, y doy gracias a Dios por pertenecer a la Iglesia Celebración de la Esperanza.
Hello, my name is Roberto Canto. I am Francia's husband. I thank God I can participate in the church Celebration of Hope. It is important for me that the church can meet in my house and the house of the neighbors. It makes it easy to meet, especially for my children. It is more easy than in a traditional church setting in a building, for example. The other part is to be able to have a missionary pastor to share in a more personal way and in communion with us, to have a coffee or tea and speak about life and listen to the Word. As well, the traditional church in Chile does not allow couples who have remarried to participate, but we can participate freely here. The other thing is that the pastor and the people can share in a much more meaningful way, and I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. We hope you've really enjoyed this video and learning a little bit more about our church. Here's our contact information again, and believe it or not, you can call us on our U.S. phone numbers. But if that's not something that interested you, maybe shoot us a text or an email. We'd be happy to get you on our newsletter distribution, or just connect with you in whatever way you'd like.
Long, long I'm just stuck